Hello, everyone, and welcome into MVP Sports. I'm your host for today, Soapy Muffins, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, how's this wonderful Wednesday going for you?
Got
Going
off.
bad or just eh?
Oh, you got off on the best possible foot you could, and it's just continued on that same pace since 6 a.m. Just a delightful, peaceful day. Everything's super easy going.
Oh yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But don't worry, Dave. The noise at 6 a.m. is not going to be the only thing you're gonna have to worry about soon. The cicadas are coming back.
No.
Yep, they're coming
so
out.
bad.
Yep, they're coming out. I don't remember how long they're supposed to be here for, but they're coming.
I'm not going outside again for another 3 weeks. I just won't do it.
Yeah, I don't remember how long they're going to be here. Hopefully not too long, because
it's usually about 2.5, 3 weeks. That's it's the worst.
Yeah, so let's hope it doesn't last. But we're not here to talk about cicadas. We're here to talk about some sports. So before we get into the draft talk today, we're going to get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. If you want to watch us live, currently you can watch us live at twitch.tv/MVP vids. I don't know why I almost said entertainment. Still stuck on the old show. But a little bit of news for you guys. We put our 2 weeks notice in. We are moving fully to YouTube in May 24th. Basically, we're just kind of giving you guys some time to get acclimated, cancel subscriptions if you have to. Hopefully by that point we do have members up. I mean, if you want to keep giving us money,
we giving us money.
But hey, if you want us to give us money, you can go to patreon.com/vids. On MVP, I'm pretty sure I may have cut out, but you know what? Don't matter. We're gonna keep rolling with it. Patreon, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful place. My internet does not like it, but hey, who knows, dude? You give us enough money, I may be able to get better
on things on the internet.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, you want to support us at a monetary value, $1 through all the way up to, I believe, $25 is the highest we have. For instance, if you do $25, you can be shouted on a show like Pat Hill. He's a wonderful supporter, and Pat, we love you.
He's a good friend. Dear friend of the show.
Want to watch us on YouTube, where we're going to be streaming on the May 24th. There, you can see us on youtube.com/MVP Sports. There, also as well, you can find our Webboy videos where we're talking about the dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men. And as well, just, former shows if you want to catch up on what we've been talking about. But Dave, going into it, we're talking about the Spurs. And obviously, how we do the segment for people who do not know, obviously since they are a lottery team still, by technicality, obviously they may be playing in the play-in tournament depending on how the rest of the season goes. But for this segment, for people who do not know how it works, what we do is, since they are the lottery team, there's a chance they have the number 1 pick. So we will start if they have the number 1, if they have a top 4, or where they are currently placing at. So if they're number 1, let's just grace past it. It's Cade.
Yeah, there's not really a discussion to be had. Is Cade Cunningham on this team be real good?
Yeah. So moving into if they didn't have a number 1 pick, and that's 2 through 4. I think, once again, they could be another team that's kind of interesting. Mostly because one of their main positional needs is a player that is in the top 4. It's a big boy. They really do need a center. Obviously, I still like Jakob Poeltl. He's a guy who doesn't stand out on the stat sheet, but he's a really solid piece.
He's a fantastic defensive rim protector. I think he goes under the fucking radar because of the Spurs. I mean, it's just what they do.
Yeah. So, and let's say they get the number 2 pick. Dave, do you think there is a chance that the number 2 pick, the Spurs take Evan Mobley?
It would be the Pop thing. Pop's not about flash. I don't think he would be in about that JG4 game. I think he would take the fit in Evan Mobley. And again, we're arguing, potential back and forth on a daily basis here at MVP as far as these top guys. So I think when you think about Mobley and what he could be, not only is a switchable big with rim protection, he could have an offensive skill set. People want to give him that Chris Bosh, upside. We'll see. Okay, let's calm our fucking horses on that front. But I do understand why, and I wouldn't argue with the Spurs taking Mobley at 2.
Yeah, and as well, I think personally with me, I could see them honestly taking both. And I know obviously that sounds like the biggest fucking cop-out answer ever.
Definitely is.
Yeah, I definitely will say, just kind of veering off it a little bit, I think they are definitely a team that skips Suggs. They don't need another point guard. They already have $6 million on this team. I think Murray's the point guard of the future for this team.
It's been great. Honestly, yeah. I think that he's been one of the best, most, again, incredibly versatile, has clamps on the defensive side. He's continued to work on his shot. And again, he does a little bit of everything. He is, he's not Mr. Triple Double, but he's in that range on the nightly basis.
Yeah. And I think going into it as well, I almost just wonder if, and obviously, there is the constant debate of, JG4 or Mobley, who should go before the other.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I think it's more or less the reason I think I lean Mobley more than JG4 right now is the fact of, like, JG4 obviously brings that massive scorer this team really needs. Like, obviously, they have times of, like, you see games where Murray pops off, Johnson pops off, hell, even Lonnie Walker pops off sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think it's just they have a lot of guys who can pop off at any moment. Like, most of them, I'll say right now, like, aren't super consistent with having high-scoring games. But once again, that's not really Spurs basketball.
As I say, it's the minutes thing, one of the biggest questions that has continued throughout this year has been, like, what is the plan with these older guys on the roster? We saw, obviously, as the season progressed, LaMarcus Aldridge, got his freedom, but then had to retire due to a medical condition. DeMar DeRozan, someone who's been the leader of this team, who's had a phenomenal season, but is he likely to come back next year? And Rudy Gay, cock-blocking young talent at the wing position all season, where he's not bad enough to warrant, like, not playing him is the problem. He's a very good wing still. He's just older, and he's not the future. But at the same time, like, I would love to see guys get more minutes. I think as the season's gone on, obviously we've seen a little bit more Devin Vassell, a little bit more of Keldon playing up. I think we've seen a lot of guys get more minutes, but these three older pieces on the Spurs team basically have felt like that's the Pop influence of sustain. Not being a dumpster team. We will have enough talent that's older that will guide us into not being a trash team.
And as well, I almost wonder. And obviously, I think if someone like a JG4 was drafted, obviously, this team has been really good about teaching people discipline. Because before, that was kind of something with Rudy Gay that a lot of people were very skeptical with him of. Rudy Gay was, something alright.
Well, Rudy Gay was all about Rudy Gay, man.
Fucking Rudy Gay, man.
He was notoriously an incredibly selfish player who, as analytics were coming along, he happened to be there at the wrong guy, wrong time. And they found out that our team plays better when Rudy Gay is actually not on the court, no matter how good Rudy Gay was. And this we're talking way back. This is not Spurs Rudy Gay. He's continued to grow.
This is like Kings Rudy Gay, I think.
This might have been Memphis Rudy Gay.
Honestly, it could be any Rudy Gay at this point.
This was pre-injury. Yeah, this was Memphis Rudy Gay. So this was the start of his career. They were better with him off the court, like just statistically in every fucking advanced category. As good as Rudy Gay was, being a 20-point scorer, like almost out of the gates, incredibly selfish player. They played better basketball when he wasn't out there, and I think that was something that obviously he has had an injury he's overcome, but also lifestyle changes off the court. There's been a lot of things as far as he's moved from different teams, he's picked up different roles. So like, I get it, but the selfishness is definitely a thing that Pop has. I would give credit to Pop as well for finding Rudy Gay a new role, whereas not causing him to be a negative on this team. I think he's quite a big positive for a lot of people out there.
Yeah. Zach, Nightbot did that because since Rudy Gay's name has gay in it, and I guess Nightbot just does not like the word gay. So when we talk about Rudy, we'll just dance around the last name. We're just gonna call him, Rudy for now.
Okay.
I couldn't even say Rudy G because there's technically then 2 Rudy G's in the league.
You could true.
I
ain't going there. Yep.
If you want to call him like Rudy Tootie or something like that, give him a creative name. You do. Your guest. Yeah. Basically, I think it's just with this team. I think right now.
Hang on. All right. Really Rudy Gay's nickname is the Great Rudini.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll call him Rudini.
Referred to as.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that may have been like an early career thing before we realized fucking Rudy Gay man was not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think right now with this team, I think, obviously, if they had a top 4 pick, I do think at this point they probably would be like, hey, Pop, we kind of want a definitive amount of years you're going to be here. Because obviously, we kind of know Pop's contract situation with them.
He
And
owns
how
the
essentially,
team, basically.
yeah, he's going year by year, and he's even told them, like, hey, I'll do, like, year by year basis. I'm not going to do, like, lock me down for 5 more years. Because it could be 3 years into that contract, he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know that's the situation. And I almost think, obviously, I don't think the Spurs would do that to Pop. Of like, oh, hey, Pop, how long are you going to be here? Like, obviously, I think they would ask him of his best judgment. But then it just falls into that weird spot of, like, we don't know how long Pop's going to do it for. Like, obviously, we've heard him talk about retiring before. Mostly it was after the late passing of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, in that moment, he's kind of like I may step away, and hell, who knows? Maybe he's sticking to it, because it's the distraction still. But
I think at this point, the Spurs organization is just an extension of his family. So nobody wants to see him go. And as long as he's still a good coach, which I think a lot of people believe he is, there's no reason he should walk away.
Yeah. And I mean, hell, there's also a chance that once he retires, he's in the organization anyways.
Yeah.
Like he essentially's got he's got the key to the building. They're like, listen, like, you just be like a cranky old man at the training facility if you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, he's front office, so it's like, you just give yourself whatever title you want. You're good.
Yeah, and as well, I think a decision with Pop, I think, is mainly going to be the thing that affects them. If they're looking to move on from Pop, not as like, Pop, get the fuck out, more of like a, Pop, are you ready to hang him up? Are you ready to put the clipboard up and stop yelling at everybody?
Mm-hmm.
If it's that, I think that would be the time I think a JG4 would get picked, if that is kind of on the horizon. But I think, like, if Pop's looking to coach for, God only knows how many more years, that'll allow him. I think that's when, like, a Mobley would get selected.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think if Pop is going to be the coach next year, which I'm 99% sure he is, their preference would be Cade, Mobley, Suggs, Kuminga, JG4. Now, that might seem bold because I'm putting JG4 all the way at the end of 5 over, even a lot of people are like, Kuminga's not even the 5th best player in this draft class. I don't care. I'll be honest. It's just the aversion to that type of personality. You think Spurs, you think quiet guys speak with their actions, not with their words. JG4 he's a social media kid. He's very outspoken. He's a highlight reel. He is everything that Spurs basketball isn't. Which almost, maybe I'm getting in my own head, but I'm like, maybe Pop would just be like, hey, if DeMar DeRozan's leaving, Rudy Gay's leaving, we need points. We need a guy who can come in and score 20 a night. That is JG4.
True. And I mean, hell, even with the fact, JG4 is not the worst defender in the world, but hell, like, you can basically hide almost everything he's bad on defense because he's got one of the best defensive point guards in the league next to him.
And then 2 great wing defenders in Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and a great rim protector in Jakob Poeltl. Like, this team is set up to have someone like that because they're playing with goddamn DeMar DeRozan right now. Like, I don't know. It almost seems like this is too good to be true as far as, like, I talk myself back into it, Soapy. Number 2 should be JG4 if they get it.
Yeah. I mean, who knows, dude? There may be a chance that, they keep DeRozan and they keep trying to do the whole, like, we're not bad enough to get a top 3 pick, but we're not.
DeRozan resign. Like, that's the thing. He is a free agent. I think in a lot of people's minds, will be going to a team that will compete for something. Whereas this finally feels like the year that, like, the Spurs are going to kick it into that, like, we're a young, spooky team again.
I mean, dude, that is a chance. Like, I think it's just right now that's sort of like that weird middle area that, like, it's like that feared, like, you're not good enough to make playoffs, you're not bad enough to get a top seed, but, like, it works with the Spurs. They're like the one team that can get away with it because, I mean, hell, like, even when they drafted in, like, late 20s, we're like, all right, whoever the Spurs get, like, we already know they're going to be good.
Yeah. No, Sean and I literally called DeJounte Murray being an absolute stud. We talked about Devin Vassell. We talked about Keldon Johnson. These are all names that we have talked about. Funny enough, the only guy I didn't like out of their group was Lonnie Walker. And that was because I didn't think he could shoot. He's worked on his game a lot, and not only does he have springs for legs, but he's gotten his shot down. So like they've done such a good job with their development staff in G League. Like you're right, it almost doesn't matter where they pick because they're going to get a really good player at that point. So if they do happen to get the luck of the draw in the lottery, assuming they stay in the lottery, top 4 pick, they're not going to go wrong. I have supreme confidence in that.
Yeah, I think whoever they draft in the top 4 is going to be a player of like oh shit, like okay, the Spurs took him. They absolutely this guy's going to be an absolute stud.
Yep.
So moving on, and I guess I may as well, just to throw it out there, I don't think this is a yes at all. I think this is a quick no. Would they even be a team to take a shot at Kuminga?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh. Absolutely. Go give Pop a raw wing to work with for a couple of years. Yeah, sign me up for that.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have thought they would have been a team to do that, to be honest. I think it's mostly just because, obviously, I think it's just right now, Pop still kind of has that, we're still trying to compete. And, obviously, you can take on a raw project, while you're a good team. Like, a lot of good teams tend to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it almost is kind of like if you get a top 4 pick and there's a chance that you can have someone who has been compared to Kobe Bryant, who has compared to that, a person who's already been compared to Luka. Obviously, I don't know if I like that super comparison between Caden.
Yeah, I understand. Would they take him over them? I don't think so. But if they got number 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah, I could see it maybe if 4. But even at that point, they may just take Suggs if they don't think Derek White's staying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on to where they would be drafting currently. Currently, right now on Tankathon, they slotted at the 13th pick. And Dave, Tankathon has the guy I think that they would take at the spot if he's still available. They got a little bit of a Sengun going on here.
Wow, we took the European player and put him on the Spurs. How fucking clever are we feeling today, boys?
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of a good fit. Most years it's just kind of like the meme of they just take the foreign guy. Yeah. This year it's oh wow, Sengun's really what they need. He can fill that role.
Yes, is he a center who could score, who could be an old school powerhouse in the paint, has a little bit of a touch but not a great motion yet, so stretching the floor probably taking a couple years. I mean, yeah, will he be there? I don't think so. My personal big board I got him a lot higher, but we'll see what NBA talent evaluators think of him as they spend a little more time with him now that COVID's kind of opening back up for a lot of these teams and their ability to scout overseas. I think that he wouldn't be a bad pick, but I don't necessarily know if they would try to prioritize getting him because is that a play style that they want to do? Do they want to have an old school vibe for a center? Do they want to play with a bigger, I want to say slower because he's not that slow because he's still pretty young, but we'll just say an old school big as their new way of playing, or is this a team that has a chance to pivot their play style yet again?
Yeah, and I think the Spurs fall into that weird spot of the Spurs still even almost kind of play an older man's type of game. Obviously, it's adapted, but not to the same extent everyone else has. Of where we see some teams just being essentially the D'Antoni approach of dude, who needs to shoot a fucking mid range? What do you guys fucking
DeMar DeRozan's room? That's only DeMar DeRozan's room.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I mean, they may be a team that they try to maybe approach the fact of there may not be as many centers who can guard the post. Obviously, it's kind of shown centers can still guard the post. Granted, I wouldn't put them in greatest all time lists for some of them, but I mean, we've seen it centers can still back down. We're seeing not a revival of the post game, but we're kind of seeing people using it a little more. We're not seeing just absolute bully ball. I'm about to put you on your ass with my ass.
Beef stew.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, beef stew gets beef stewed on constantly, and it's a little sad sometimes.
Him being 6'9" is a problem sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, but we kind of have seen a little bit of emergence of people kind of going back to the post a little bit. Obviously we see Embiid just bully people in the post because no one's big enough to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
But, like then we see people like Jokic and Cat who they don't really bully you in the post. They're just like, okay, I'll just hit a fade. Try style me.
Yeah, and that's something that Alperen could add to his game. Like I said, shot's not broken. He's been working on his touch, so I think that he's going to be a very good player. It's just a question of would they want to go for a volume score at the 5, or do you think that if for some reason like a Josh Giddey had slid down there, another European, well not European, a NBL prospect, someone who could basically step into the hole that DeMar DeRozan leaving would create almost seamlessly in my mind. I think that would intrigue me a bit more. I think that's Pop is looking for the next great wing in my mind. Like I think Keldon is a starting caliber 4 and great athleticism, can defend multiple positions. And then you got Devin again, who's a great wing defender, but I see him kind of like he can dominate 1s and 2s. 3s depends on the size matchup if he can, how well he is. So it's like I think that if they went for someone who could kind of give them, that size, but give them ball handling, that would be like the ideal situation. But again, my big board, he's way up there. A lot of people's other boards, though, he's available in the teens. He is, at 10 through 15, 10 through 20 area. So I think that's a realistic idea for them.
Yeah, and obviously this is a player that a good amount of people have him rather high on theirs, but obviously, personality questions have come up with them, especially during the college season. If a chance of someone like a Jalen Johnson slid to them, like obviously, I think at that point, like I'm not gonna say like, oh, would the Spurs take him? I think if he fell, like I think he is one of the better players in this draft. I think it's just a personality issue kind of got in the way. Teams may think that they can fix that problem. If he fell to the Spurs, I think that'd be stupidly good. And obviously, I know like that's basically me being like, hey, a guy that's really good went to this team that's almost really good. I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that would be a dream situation, is if he told a bunch of teams to go screw themselves during workouts and individual interviews, and then he's like, "Yeah, I play for Pop though. Pop's cool." Like, yeah, absolutely. If he falls down to 13, 14, where they're going to be at, 100% would love Jalen Johnson's talent. Now, you got to work with him obviously on some things and make sure that he's all right in the locker room and make sure that he's fully committed to the game of basketball. But I mean, 6'9" guys with that handle, that body, and that talent don't grow on trees. So absolutely, that would be an awesome situation of he falls for a reason, but at the same time, he would have the perfect opportunity to work his way out of that situation.
Yeah, and as well, the reason why I'm saying like I think if the Spurs got him, I think it'd be a perfect situation. Is we've seen the Spurs kind of fix people's mentalities, like they work with people and kind of like it's almost like the Spurs way, like of like I mean obviously like Rudy Gobert wasn't really a locker room problem. It was more of like a hey Rudy Gobert, there's you can throw the ball to other players. You know this, right?
Yeah,
and like he kind of taught him that, and the Spurs have always been an organization that like we look very fondly on like how players kind of turn out there. They seem really disciplined. I think he could be a player that would massively benefit for going through that sort of like disciplinary, and that makes it sound like that they're gonna like just beat the shit out of him when he gets there.
yeah.
But like, I mean, to be fair, they do have a former drill sergeant as a coach, so
Hey,
knows what buttons to press.
If it works, I ain't saying.
I mean, to be fair, he could also just go tell Pop to suck a dick and leave the team. So,
done that before.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows? But
yeah, no, I think that he would be really great. I think that would be beneficial for both parties. That's a situation where he could redo his reputation and kind of earn his way into a spot because, as on the Spurs team, you're not going to start as a rookie. That's just out of the fucking question.
Oh, yeah.
So
your ass is spending the year in the G League.
Your G League, your bench. Maybe now that all these older stars are off the team, there's a chance that you'll see a little bit more playing time, but I think you're going to earn it one way or the other.
We'll find a way to give Eubanks minutes.
Drew Eubanks, man, he was something. I mean, he's like shitty Larry Nance.
Yeah.
That would be my description. Shitty Larry Nance. No offense meant there, but that's just what I see. But yeah, it's very hard to try to mock them with anything but a wing or a big. Like you said, they have such a loaded backcourt that it like it's almost a situation where if someone as talented as like a Keon Johnson fell, like would they even be interested in that? Is that a situation where they're like, yeah, we would love to take Keon at 13, but we've got 7 guys, who are already here. Is he going to get the proper time and development, or do you think that they would probably pass on him if there was somebody who was a wing or a big who had been mocked in that range?
I think there's a chance, and I think it's because right now with this backcourt, I don't. I think there's only one person in my mind that's set in stone,
Oh, okay,
and I
okay.
think it's Murray. I think, like, obviously, I will put like Devin Vassell will probably be playing the two card. Well, two card, not. My brain really works sometimes, guys.
Well, I mean, again, just for some context, Dejounte Murray's under contract for the next 3 years after this year. Derek White 4 years after this, and then after that, Trey Jones, I think worked really well in the G League, and then a couple games up this year. He's under contract still next year. Lonnie Walker's got another year before he's an RFA. Keldon Johnson, I know he's played everywhere on the wings, but I think he kind of fits more as a 4. Um, so yeah, like Devin Vassell, and they've got all of these guys. I don't know. You're saying nobody else is a lock but DeJounte. I think Derek White is as comfortable as you could possibly be.
Yeah, and the only reason why I'm saying like I think Dejounte is like the only one of the backcourt that's like locked in stone,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, is the fact of like I think if they ran into a situation of like if they want to stick with the Patty Mills, obviously like if I had a choice between Patty Mills, Derek White, I would definitely go Derek White.
Yeah.
But the Spurs have always been a team that's really loyal to their vets. And as well, they have been running lineups where it's been Murray and White in the backcourt together, and it works because one covers the other one's weakness.
Yep.
But I think if they drafted someone like a JG4 or another young guard, I think it could be a situation of, okay, we'll probably try to run like a lineup of Murray, Vassell. Let's say they drafted JG4, like just to stick with that for a second, of like JG4, Trey or like Keldon Johnson at the 4, and then Pirtle at the 5. I think that type of lineup works better because then at that point, or if you want to even go like slightly bigger, slide Vassell to the bench, then basically just move everyone up one besides Pirtle. Pirtle will stay at the 5, and just put like a Trey Lyles or like a Eubanks or someone in. Like, I think that type of lineup. I know.
It's.
Yeah, I'm just throwing Eubanks out there. Like I could say like Luka Samanic, but I'm pretty
That
sure
kid
he's
just
like a
plays
center.
wild. Like he's not. I love Luca, not that Luca, but he is still very much learning the game of basketball. I feel like when he gets his hands on the ball, he's like, I can do anything I want. And it's like, no, you don't have that talent quite yet. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think it's just I think if Derek White would be comfortable coming off the bench, I think that's the only way they'd be super comfortable. Obviously, you're in a Spurs system; they'll make you fucking do what they want you to do, and they'll convince you to, agree to it.
It's what's best for the whole team. How could you say no?
Yeah, but I think it's just if they draft a guard, I do think like that would kind of show like they may not be set on Derek White as like a future guard for this team. Like I think that's why a guard could be there. Like if Keon Johnson fell to them, I think they would take him.
Yeah,
but
I think they're just BPA. I think that's like I said, as tough it is to mock something that they're already so loaded on. I think if some talent fell that far, like they would take a swing on it. I think a lot of people see Keon Johnson as this athletic, untapped potential on the offensive end, and it's like if he plays this hard on defense now, and he's not got a fear of shooting, it's more so he just needs to be refined. Like his upside is amazing. So yeah,
and also.
Mhm.
I was going to say the Spurs also do a really good job at pulling out untapped potential in guys. There's a little no name. I'm not comparing these two. There was a little known small forward they traded George Hill for.
No.
He was only kind of good at one thing when he came into the league, and he's kind of up there right now.
Yeah, I mean, Keon's only 6'5", but let's see.
Like I said, I'm not comparing those two directly, but like that's sort of like the Spurs have shown they can pull fucking magic out of just nowhere. Obviously, Kawhi obviously had to have that latent talent there.
Right.
But
what would you think? Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
I don't know, I was just gonna say like they've shown they could pull just absolute magic out of thin air, and it's like if they could do that with Kawhi, I want to know what they could do with Keon. Like obviously, Kawhi coming into the league was already a really good defender.
Yeah. What would you think of the idea of them going after someone like I hate saying it. Someone like Kai Jones. I think he's someone who they would actually avoid. I think they would avoid a guy with a bust potential that high. Because I'm trying to think of like all of their recent picks, and they all had like an NBA level talent already in one part of their game. And I don't think Kai Jones really has anything outside of his athleticism that's at the NBA level.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they take a center that's not Sengun, like if Sengun's already off the board, I think they could go for an Isaiah Jackson. Like he's already like a very prolific shot blocker. He's a very solid rebounder. Mm-hmm. Like essentially, he kind of already does what Pirtle does. So I think they could take a shot at that and be like, oh hey, there's a chance he's better than Pirtle, and we could just have two Pirtles on this team.
That would
much
be
better than one Pirtle, two Pirtle.
Yeah, I mean the only time that they've taken like uber raw like Luka, but they had a second first round pick, so they were okay with it. And as well at the same time, he was being touted as one of the better overseas players, so I get it. But outside of that, yeah, like Derek White was an older player in college who had proven himself. DeJounte Murray obviously had the measurables and the elite defense. Like Lonnie Walker's athleticism and his dunking ability, his finishing ability at the rim were insane at Miami. So, and Devin Vassell, obviously, his defense and shooting are already NBA caliber. So, like, it'll be really interesting to see if they would go after a rawer prospect when there might be somebody who is higher floor. And it's kind of like that, like trump card of like, but can the Spurs raise his ceiling?
Yeah, and kind of speaking of raw prospects, this is a player that I've seen him all over people's boards. Like, I know Retro in the Discord had talked about, he has this person in his top 10 on his big board. And obviously I don't have him too high. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a chance the Spurs could take a player like Garuba and, maybe not view him as the next Kawhi type player? I'm not trying to just say like, oh, the Spurs are looking for the next Kawhi.
Yeah, say, if you're expecting the next Kawhi out of you are smoking rock. Because this is like Kawhi could get the basketball close to the rim semi-consistently. Garuba's shot is nowhere near consistent or good looking. But he has an elite talent in the defensive switchability. His footwork is solid. He can rim protect a bit. Again, he's an undersized, kind of a 4-5 tweener. A lot of people want to put him in the style of like a Bam Adebayo. I think he's closer to Onyeka Okongwu, but almost worse rim protection, but better switchability. Like I don't know if there's an exact comp in the league. I've been on record saying like he's a souped up TT. Tristan Thompson. Like think about Tristan Thompson during their Cavs championship run. Like what he was able to do, be a high IQ rebounder, be able to switch 1 through 5, give your team a defensive bump, but God forbid that man had to make a shot.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm just mostly saying that is because, he is kind of, I don't want to say elite at what he does, because obviously, he's still very raw at it, but like he's shown flashes of being stupidly good.
He's been playing professionally for 3 years now. Yeah, you say raw. I mean, he's had a higher level of competition than anybody else on this fucking board.
Yeah,
so that's something else to consider. Is you're getting someone who's been coached better, someone who's dealt with high pressure situations, playing against grown men who are older, bigger, stronger, faster than him, and he's thrived doing it. So there is that. And again, I feel like it's the knock because he plays in Europe, and people just don't take that into consideration. His numbers aren't going to knock your socks off. But at the same time, like if you ask me Isaiah Jackson or Garuba, I'm going to take the guy who's been a pro since he was 15.
True. Yeah. So, and I may as well just throw the name out there because as much as I don't want to talk about him, could there be a chance they take Wagner?
Yes, because that would be the most Spurs pick of all.
Yeah.
Because if Franz Wagner went there, we hit the trifecta of European wing toolsy. Like that is, there we go. Pop just had another kid. Like that's exactly what they're looking for over there. They would absolutely love him. It fits a need at the wing. He plays defense. He knocks down catch and shoot. Floor spacer, high IQ player, played in Europe. You know, you got all the check marks for a Popovich player right there, man. Like if he's still there, I would be all for it. There's just so many guys in that mid range where it's like we don't know who to predict is falling or staying. Like I think a lot of people have bounced back and forth on Davion Mitchell being a top 10 talent because of his last month. I don't fucking buy it, but I think some GMs in basketball might buy it. So it's like, so I guess he's going higher than a lot of people think. Who's that going to push out of the top 10? You know, are we going to see somebody fall out who nobody expected? The interesting one, I think, for me that I've seen have a little bit of a resurrection is Zaire Williams out of Stanford. Someone who didn't have a great college year. Someone who honestly was pretty forgettable most games, but he was a highly touted high school prospect. And I think a lot of people want to just kind of write off his year and be like, meh, like it is what it is. But look at his body, look at the shape, look at the hand size. You know, the measurables of him are elite. So you should take a shot at him because of his high school tape and just pretend the Stanford stuff. You know, ignore the bad. I think that's the interesting one because I think I had him mocked. You know, like probably 23 to 35 range. Like I saw end of the first round at best for him. I mean, he didn't have like a BJ Boston level of terrible college play, but he definitely underperformed against expectations.
Yeah, and just kind of looking around at some of the other players around that spot, like you said, it's after like the top 5, it essentially starts feeling like okay, like I'll even say like top 7 because like a lot of people have kind of started cementing like Moody's up there. You know, like we all know Barnes is not dropping. Like it's essentially just a who goes first between him and Kuminga.
Yep.
And I think it's just right now, like after the top 7, it kind of just gets to that like okay, who's next? And,
yeah.
Like personally, I agree with you on Davion Mitchell. I think he's going to be one of those players. I think when he gets drafted, like we kind of saw what he was, and obviously, I don't want to be that person who's just like, oh, older player, not going to get better. Like I don't doubt he's going to get better in the NBA. It's just more or less of like how much better.
Like, overrating his passing ability. I don't think he's a point guard.
Yeah, and I think it's just I think he's just going to be like Pat Bev when he comes to the NBA. Like he's just Pat Bev 2.0.
Could be. Is that a bad thing to take at 9 in the draft? Most drafts, probably not.
Yeah, this one when you have a chance of, you know, if you're taking Giddey, like if Giddey's still on the board. Like I'm not even trying to hop on the Giddey hype train like Jake did.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to, you know, I'm keeping it. I don't want to say realistic because I sound like I'm being a douche to Jake. You know, I'm kind of just taking it in. You know, I'm slowly building up. You know, everyone I know. I haven't just quite gotten to Giddey yet. So, like, if someone like a Giddey is there, and like there's still so much raw potential from him of like what he could become with Davion Mitchell, it's kind of like you know what you're getting.
Right.
Like essentially, like hell, dude, the Spurs could even take Davion Mitchell if he's there. Just be like, all right, fuck, keep loading up on guards. We'll run a 5-guard lineup.
Please don't. No. No, I don't want that guy. I don't want him on my team if I'm the Spurs. That's just a personal preference. You know, that's where I'm at. Like, I would rather they took, like, obviously Jared Butler. He's higher on my personal big board. But, like, shit, I'm looking down my board. I'm going, I would take Sharif Cooper over him. Like, if you're forcing me to take guard, I would take Io over him. That makes me insulting. But fuck you. You know, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And I guess kind of sticking with center prospects as well, we already kind of hit on Jackson, Kai Jones. But they take a Day'Ron Sharpe. Like, kind of a person of, like, he's there.
Don't love him. High energy, though. He plays in the paint really well. Don't think he can stretch the floor anywhere. But you know what? They could do it. Yeah, they could just be like, hey, we're going to play old school center. We're just going to bang it out. We'll out rebound you with our big and try to compete with our wings and guards. I mean, if you have, that 1-5 tandem, I guess it's the only thing, like, how dependent the NBA has become on the pick and roll and pick and pop game with the 1-5. I don't know if he is the ideal guy to be there,
Yeah, and I do agree on that part of it's picking someone for the Spurs is so weird because obviously NBA scouts have a lot more access to tape that we don't. Like they kind of also watching in person.
They watch differently. Let's be honest, we're probably looking for different things,
Yeah, like we're looking for like height plays, like we're looking for stuff that like, oh, that's a cool play, but like scouts are looking for like the nitty gritty of like, oh, that little bit of footwork there, like that's impressive. Like that's something you shouldn't have at this level. Like us as fans, like we can notice that, but they notice it on like such a more minute level.
Maybe
it's like
maybe
sometimes.
Scouts. Maybe I think I'm better than scouts.
I mean,
maybe I've got a better hit rate than scouts do.
I mean, dude, hell, who knows? There's a chance, dude, that everyone is better than the King Scout because they were the ones who took Papagiannis.
That's Oladipo, and he chose to take Bagley over Luka Doncic.
Yeah, so sometimes maybe I shouldn't praise NBA scouts too much.
No,
yeah, like they do look at the game different, and the Spurs scouts have obviously shown they can fucking find a gem anywhere.
Yeah. So I guess that's the question. If we're talking gems anywhere, they got pick 44 right now. What are they going to walk away in the second round that we're all going to be like, God damn, how did this guy end up falling that far?
Watch, they'll land with Isaiah Todd.
Oh my God. If they got Todd at 44, I would flip my fucking desk. Oh.
I mean, like, obviously, Isaiah Todd is a player that kind of varies very differently on boards.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, to give a perspective, obviously, this isn't like the end-all be-all. Like, tends to be the one that's kind of like a, why is that guy there? But they have Isaiah Todd all the way down at 59.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people have talked about him going top 20. So, like, if that doesn't show, like, this guy is, like, a divisive player of, like, he could be fucking anywhere, there you go.
But yeah, I think... Same thing, like, again, you want to bring up another player who these non-traditional routes to the NBA. Isaiah Todd, obviously, the G League Ignite team. Roko Perkichin, someone who I'm destroying his last name. Don't get me wrong. But someone who has like insane upside because he's got such a crazy, 6'9" frame. Could he be the next like Pascal Siakam, except, a decade younger than him, basically? Come in much better shape as far as like how far along the game of basketball he is at his age. Maybe, that's a guy who's going to be probably available in the second round, who I think if we were being honest about his talent, like you look at his best games and you're like, this kid's a top 20 talent. Why is he so far down in this draft? Well, because who the fuck is watching his games and who's he doing this against? But you see it and you're like, once it catches your eyes, you're like, yeah, that guy's got talent to be in the NBA. Don't know how it's going to turn out quite yet, but he's going to get taken a whole lot later than he should.
Yeah, and as well, just once again with the second round, it gets so weird because it's like there could be people that we're not even thinking of right now that they absolutely just meteorically rise up boards out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like I think they could be a team that if they wanted to take this player, I'm not trying to still be a shitlord. They could take an Isaiah Livers. I don't know if I would be like super happy if I was.
That's a great pick.
I know, Dave. He's from Michigan. I'm not supposed to like him. I'm a Michigan State guy. Damn it! I hate him. I also just have to be sad Emoni Bates decommitted from my team. So
yeah, I was gonna say your Michigan State boys are getting the fucking shit kicked out of them right now.
Yeah, it's a sad time. But
yep.
I mean, it's with the Spurs. It's just so weird. Of like, God only knows who they take.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think in the second round they would be a player. It would be a team that just takes like an older player. And it's just like, okay, cool, that's going to be an instant impact guy. Like, I could see them taking like a Jay Huff.
I mean,
he's still there.
That wouldn't be the worst pick overall, I guess. God, I gotta look up. Hang on, who am I? Yep. Oscar da Silva, someone who I've been watching in college for a couple of years now because he was like literally when you just search out like efficiency for big men, like his name is just all over the fucking charts for high efficiency shooter, high efficiency scorer. He's dominant. And I think it's one of those situations where like, yeah, he's going to get taken by somebody. Like he's a 4-year college guy and played in Germany growing up. You know, as a older big, he's going to get picked up by one of these teams. And you're just like, year one, he could contribute off the bench, you know?
Yeah. And dude, hell, who knows? Maybe we see my boy, the guy I was talking about before I even noticed anything about the draft, Ibu. Ibu could get picked up by this team in the second round. That's speaking into existence.
I think that someone would take a flyer on a 7'1" guy with like a 7'9" wingspan. Yeah. That's I don't know what his actual wingspan. He's got a ridiculous.
I think it's about there.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, that man stands and just blocks shots. He doesn't even have to jump. He's just like, oh, that's a damn shame if nope, get away.
Yeah.
Fly swatter at the rim.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else?
Who can I dream forecast for them in the second round? Let's say they take a wing in the first round. As much as, I want to make this fun, I feel like every time I talk to you, I have to bring up one of two centers in the second round. It's either Charles goddamn Bassey or Luka Garza. One of the two.
Watch them
Luka
take
Garza.
them.
Oof.
I mean, hey, dude. I think they'd go Bassey, but who knows?
They go Bassey? Okay.
I mean, if we're having to say one of them goes, I'd rather see Bassey go. I don't really like either of these two, but if one of them's got to go, I'd rather see Bassey, I guess.
That's fair. I think he's got an NBA level talent as far as blocking shots. I don't think he can do much else that's at that level, but I'll be proven wrong. I hope he does prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see who the Spurs draft. Oh, moving into the last topic of today, it's a little bit of sad news,
Is it?
I mean, for Heat fans, probably. For me, not really. I don't really care.
Yeah.
That makes me sound like a douche. We're like,
yeah.
Basically, in case anyone has not noticed, there was news today that Victor Oladipo is not returning for the season. Because if I remember correctly, he tore his tendon, something. Yeah, quadriceps tendon is right quadriceps tendon. Trust me, guys. I'm totally a doctor at some point.
And literate.
Totally. Yeah, true. Who knows, dude? There may be, there's a chance for everybody. And, just mostly with this topic, I guess this would ask, do you think this puts a hamper on the Heat's playoff chances? Do you think they can't even make it past the first round without him?
No, they haven't played with him. It doesn't even matter a little bit. Like, this is a non-story for me. Victor Oladipo's been hurt the whole fucking year, and he needs to take the time off to get fully healthy before he comes back. This is not... That's why I'm like, is it a sad story? Like, the dude's been constantly hurt. I'm not even concerned with, what it does for the Heat because he didn't contribute dick to the Heat. The Heat have been who they are without him. Trevor Ariza has been a massive help for this team, somebody who stepped in and starting for them, after sitting on his couch for fucking months. Like, that's the guy I appreciate on this team. Andre Iguodala playing key minutes when the playoff games count. So I'm all about this Heat team still being a dominant team in the playoffs because that's what they've shown is, hey, we step our game up when they count more. And we watch them dick the fucking Celtics again. Like, I have no problem with this Heat team going and playoff matchups without Victor Oladipo. Would have been nice to have a healthy Vic. Yeah, but that wasn't going to happen this year. He's been hurt the whole year. I think that was just people who had, 2018 Victor Oladipo on the mind, who thought he was still that player. He ain't. He ain't coming back. What you'll be happy to get is a healthy Victor Oladipo next season. Hopefully, the question is how much will that cost you to bring him in? Because I wouldn't pay him $25 million a year anymore. I don't know if he's going to make $20 million a year. I don't know if he'll do a prove-it deal on a short term to try to get a bigger payday down the line. Like, obviously, this creates a lot of questions for a team that did have to trade for him. But Same time, we'll see.
Yeah, and obviously we do, with this Heat team. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think on yesterday's show, I did say they were contenders. I think. Who knows, dude? I honestly just don't like the Heat. So I could have said they were a pretender and just been a big hater the whole time. I do not like the Heat. I've been on record.
What's not to like?
I hate the fan base, dude. It is so annoying. Okay.
Better than the Boston fans. Better than the Philly fans.
Okay, true.
Arguably worse than LA, though. I think that's fair. Or in the same realm as LA.
Just to fill people who are not in the Discord in, I've been asked before what my least favorite team in the NBA was, and besides me basically saying every team, because I don't like most fan bases in general, the Heat stand out. And it's mostly because I got so goddamn tired of every year, no matter how bad this team was, oh, you don't want to see us. We're a scary team, man. We're going to go deep, and they lose in the first round. It's like, yeah, where's this big old bad scary team, huh?
Jimmy Butler. That's where the scary team starts and ends.
Yeah, but even before, when it was Whiteside and Dragic were the two best players.
We all knew Whiteside was a goddamn joke. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. When it was that team.
Score. He gets $4 a game.
Yeah, but that team. When it was we're the scary team, and I'm the only thing I'm scared of is Whiteside fucking yelling at me on Instagram. That's the only thing I'm scared of. But yeah. There you go. So Heat fans, you got someone to hate on the show, which is me. There you go. It's me, your boy.
I think they'll be fine though. I don't think this changes their playoff, win percentage. 1. Don't even think it changes to 1. Because he wasn't healthy in the first place. He only played a handful of games for this team, and he didn't look good doing it because guess what? He was still hurt.
That is true. But that is going to end today's show, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just a last little bit of roundup. Once again, we are moving back to YouTube on the 24th. Or not even back, just all the way back there. You know what? Fuck it. This is the outro. For anyone who hasn't seen me do outros, this is about to be a shit show. Strap yourself in. Yeah. 2 weeks, we're moving back to YouTube on the 24th. There, we're going to be doing live streams, and the live streams will be directly uploaded to the YouTube channel, so you can watch it in its entirety. Good God, this is already a shit show.
Keep reading.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even reading at this point. I'm spitballing it. Oh, maybe that's why I'm fucking up. Who knows? Yeah. Want to join? You can join the Discord. There you can talk about all sorts of news. You can talk about basketball, football, baseball, soccer, hockey. Talk video games, and you can talk all sorts of things. We'll find something for you to talk about in the Discord. You can check us out on youtube.com/MVP Sports. There you can catch up on Wet Boys to see who the okay, you know what? Fuck it. We're Wet Boys. I'm not even gonna try to finish that sentence, Dave. You can huff and puff all you want, David. I'm struggling. You said it adds charm, and that's what's happening. This is a whole lot of charm going on.
Yep.
Okay. You know what? All right. Fuck it. The show's done, guys. Bye.